Misconceptions that people have about motorcycle clubs are that we're always violent, that we're always committing crimes, that we're always stealing things. That's not what motorcycle clubs are about.
Motorcycle clubs are responsible for a lot of outreach to sick kids, homeless people. Uh, they really give and contribute to a lot of outreaches.
I grew up in Northern California, Santa Clara, California to be exact. I grew up in a kind of single parent home. My parents got divorced early. I had kind of a rough childhood. I didn't have much adult supervision, so I got left to my own devices a lot as a kid. I started using like drugs at a young age. When I was about 14, I started using meth. Addiction grew in my life and basically took over my life. I got homeless because, I wasn't working. I wasn't really like a contributing member to society. I was dealing drugs. I was, and if things went south on that, I didn't really have any income. So, I was homeless due to my addiction, and I was dealing drugs to kind of support my addictions. Work just wasn't in the program at that point. And, I became homeless because of my disease. Well, initially, when I was homeless, I was like sleeping on people's couches. I wore out my welcomes basically through people that I love, my family, my friends. Got to the point where I ran out of favors and options, and I was sleeping like either on the street. A couple of friends would let me sleep in like their car on the side of the yard. I've slept in dugouts. I've slept near overpasses. I used to sneak over to my mom's house, and I would sleep on the side of her yard and try to get up and get out of there before they woke up, because they would call the police on me if they had caught me back there. So I was really just doing what I was able to do to survive. I stayed away from like friends and people I knew because of the level of shame that I had, because I didn't have anything to offer, and everything that I did was just only to benefit me, and I blamed the world for all my problems, inwardly. You might not know it by seeing me at that point, that the shame and guilt that I had inside was apparent, because on the outside, I had a facade that everything was okay, or I'm doing better than, I look. Suffering from drug addiction, so I was looking to get high every day, which takes I guess kind of removes a certain level of humanity from you, because when if I needed something and I had to go through you to get it, I had no remorse about it. It was about Memorial Weekend of 1998. I had multiple felonies for methamphetamine possession, and I had lied to my parents, and they bailed me out. I wore out that, because I lied. And then while I was out on bail, I caught another charge, and I went down for that. And there was no way that I was going to be able to call my folks and ask them again because I had been lying to them for months. But that wasn't really the bottom. That just was the lead to the bottom. Because after I did the time for that, I got out and I had nowhere to go. The first thought that came to my mind is, what crime could I commit to just stay in jail for another 3 months till summer comes? For that to be my first thought, I was at bottom. So I had that temporary moment of clarity right before I made it back into town and hooked up with my meth dealer. When the judge told me, hey, we're gonna hold you till the end of the day, until your probation officer can get here and we'll find out what your fate's gonna be. So as I sat in that room, I thought to myself, you know what? I like how I feel right now. I just don't like where I'm at. From that point on, I actually made a decision, to stay clean and sober and do what they told me and trust the process. My probation officer had given me a recommendation to go into an in-custody program. So it wasn't like I was, gonna get out, but I did an in-custody program that allowed me to recover from drugs and alcohol. I think that was my moment of clarity. It's like, I can't go any lower, So, and that was over 21 years ago. I was angry at God from a child. So a lot of my reasoning and a lot of my stuff that I did and crimes that I committed and violence that I, perpetrated, the things that I did, motorcycle clubs I was in, was because I really didn't really care what God thought. It wasn't until I was about 11 years sober that I came to Christ, and it was, through a church ministry and, me actually giving back to somebody without expecting something in return or taking something from that person. When I got baptized, me and my wife both at the same time, and I came to Christ, it innately changed the way that I think and how I approach people, places, and the things in my life. The way that I deal with people and the way that I handle situations is I kind of try to keep in the back of my mind what would glorify God. Just in my life, in my marriage, the relationship with my wife, my relationship with my friends, that's where God has shown himself to me, and has also made me realize that he has been there for me the whole time. God was always there. It was me that had him at arm's distance. I've been riding motorcycles probably since I was about 8 years old. And, I got my first Harley probably when I was about 19 years old. I had a old broken, oil leaking 65 pan head. Godspeed was founded by Bill Zablan and Jim Condon, and basically the vision that they had at the time was to be a motorcycle club that could minister to the one percenters. Their vision and mission statement is, and our mission, our mission is that we are Christians and we are a motorcycle club. We live life perfectly imperfect together.
I think it's important to all the members, either as a group or individually, pay back Christian heart, pay it forward. There's a lot of, we try to pass love on, You know, you love people and take care of them and help them out if you can help them.
Helping the homeless is important because we see the need out there. People are less fortunate, and except for the grace of the God, I could be, living in one of those homemade tents out there myself. So it's important for us to give back. It's important for us to reach out when we can reach out and be used.
It means a lot to me. I did it before I was part of Godspeed. I mean, I've always been wanting to go and out in the community, down the Skid Row, give out backpacks, blankets, whatever I could find to help people out.
We've come to a point where we want to fill that as best we can. And that's what we've done. I feel from the very first day that I've come into this club, it's been about service to others.
The reason why I come out here is because I love serving, I love outreach, and when I serve for people. I'm actually serving for the Lord. One of the reasons why we like to come out here as well, God made it clear to us and put it in our heart that we need to serve the unprivileged, the disenfranchised, the people that are in need of this hope or help the most. We hope that through this that we can inspire other people, other clubs, other organizations to do the same thing.
We're chosen few. We're chosen few. We are the dark horses, that have been instructed, if you will, by God, by each other, by a sense of understanding that there's a need out there and there's no better group of men to fill that need than us.
I like what they represent as far as a group of Christian men riding, enjoying things and common interests. I keep saying that, but that's really what it's about. You enjoy each other, family, you do things together.
Misconceptions that people have about motorcycle clubs are that we're always violent, that we're always committing crimes, that we're always stealing things, we're always, we're always out drinking and breaking stuff and harming people. That's not what motorcycle clubs are about.
The passion at first for homeless people, it was like a lot of people and thought that they're just there because they want to be there. Being around it, I see that most of the people there don't want to be there, and if they could, they wouldn't be.
It's such a 180 for me as a person who used to just take things from people and without remorse, and coming from a violent background on it too, God has changed me in that respect, and Godspeed continues to temper me down that avenue, and my brothers keep me in check, and I keep them in check, through their love and their brotherhood and their commitment, not only to this club, but to me as a friend and a brother. I couldn't put a level of what Godspeed's done for me because it's continuing to do for me, as we continue to try to glorify God through our motorcycle club.